Imagine you sitting comfortably on the couch with internet faster than your great-grandparents could ever imagine, controlling your home lights from your phone, watching high-definition series, and ordering food without even speaking to another human being. Sounds like the pinnacle of modern life, right? Well, yes, but inside your head, the boss is still a slightly crazy hairy guy who thinks you live in a cave, need to run from saber-toothed tigers, and must conserve energy for the next hunt. Yes, the brain you carry inside your skull is basically the same one cavemen used to avoid being crushed by a mammoth. And that's exactly why, at 2 in the morning, you look at the fridge and think, there's salad here, but you know what would be even better? Cold pizza from last night, straight out of the box, no heating required. The modern brain, surrounded by apps, Wi-Fi, and artificial intelligence, still operates with the same priorities from 10,000 years ago. Seek calories, avoid effort, feel irrational fear of the dark, and do everything to avoid being rejected by the group. It's like installing Windows 11 on a Stone Age computer, full of bugs, running slow, and crashing at the worst possible moments. And you know the funniest part? Everything that today feels like laziness, gluttony, anxiety, or even compulsiveness was once a brilliant survival strategy. The problem is the world changed so quickly that the brain never got the software update. It still thinks that tomorrow you'll have to chase a half-ton animal to avoid starving. Now, before you think this is just another boring science lecture, stick around, because throughout this video, you'll discover how your weirdest habits, procrastinating, eating too much sugar, fearing public speaking, or hoarding useless stuff, are actually just direct reflections of this prehistoric brain that stubbornly insists on living inside you.
But hold on a second. Before we keep digging into the secrets of this brain that still thinks fire is a brand new invention, let me give you a quick heads up. If you've ever laughed at yourself for choosing cold pizza over salad, if you've noticed that you procrastinate like it's an Olympic sport, or if you've ever wondered why it's so hard to just be rational, then congratulations, you're in the right place. This video was made for you, and I promise that every single minute will make you look at your own behavior with a mix of laughter and existential shock. But for that to happen, I need you to do one thing right now, before your caveman brain says, let's leave it for later, and pushes you to scroll endlessly through your feed. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and drop a like. Seriously. YouTube's algorithm is almost as unpredictable as a hungry saber-toothed tiger, and if you don't stake your claim here, you might never find this video again. So secure your spot in this modern tribe of curious minds and addicts of crazy stories about the human mind. Alright, now we can continue without letting your sabotaging ancestry win another battle.
Why your brain hates effort, even in the modern gym. Have you ever noticed how the simple idea of getting up from the couch can feel like a sacrifice worthy of a Greek epic? Like, grab my workout clothes, put on my sneakers, and never mind, I'll just watch one more episode. Well, the reason for this isn't just laziness or lack of discipline, it's a direct leftover from your factory settings, the caveman brain. Back then, wasting energy was literally a death risk. If you hunted a mammoth, great, you had meat for days. But if you spent energy running around for no reason, climbing trees aimlessly, or pushing logs just for fun, congratulations! You ended up tired with a lower chance of survival when a real predator showed up. The primitive brain developed a clear rule: if it's not necessary, don't move. Now, fast forward to modern life. You don't need to chase a gazelle, but you do need to run on a treadmill. And guess what? The brain doesn't get the difference. It still thinks spending energy running without being chased is absurd. That's why every time you try to convince yourself to hit the gym, your mind reacts with ancestral logic. This is a waste of vital energy. Better save it for an emergency.
And that's why the gym, even with bright lights, loud music, and futuristic machines, still feels like a voluntary torture chamber. Because, biologically speaking, that's exactly what it is. You're going against millions of years of programming that declare the law of energy conservation sacred. But don't beat yourself up. Preferring the couch over a marathon isn't a moral failing. It's just your brain still thinking that at any moment you might have to run from a lion. And here's the curious part. Even your modern excuses have ancestral roots. We'll dive into that in a moment.
The food drama. Why we crave fat and sugar. Picture this scene. It's midnight, and you open the fridge. On one side, a fresh, crunchy green salad. On the other, a cold pizza with rubbery cheese and a hard crust. Your brain looks at both options and without hesitation yells, "Go for the pizza!" But why? The answer is simple and cruel. Fat and sugar were the most valuable resources in the caveman's life. Think about it. If you found a tree with sweet fruit, it was like hitting gold. Sugar meant quick energy to run, fight, or escape. Fat, found in hunted meat or rare seeds, was a long-term energy reserve, something that could literally keep you alive during a harsh winter. Now, fast forward to today, we're surrounded by donuts, soda, and fast food on every corner. The ancestral brain, however, doesn't understand that stores are open 24/7. It still reacts as if every piece of fat and sugar is a rare survival opportunity. The result? That almost uncontrollable urge to pick pizza over salad, even knowing rationally that the salad is the healthier choice. Worse yet, when you try to diet, your brain interprets it as a resource shortage. Remember the famine periods of the caves? They come roaring back. Your body reduces calorie expenditure, your mind obsesses over food, and before you know it, you're devouring a whole tub of ice cream while promising, "Monday I start." And here's the funny or tragic detail. Your emotional hunger isn't just a lack of willpower, it's literally an echo of your ancestors' instincts. But don't worry, this ancestral logic also explains other strange behaviors, like why you care so much about what others think. And that's exactly what we'll explore in the next point.
The approval quest. Why you still fear the tribe's judgment. Have you noticed how a critique at work, a snarky comment in your WhatsApp group, or even a seen and not replied can have you stewing for hours? Yep, this isn't modern drama. It's pure ancestral biology. Back in the caveman days, being accepted by your group was literally a matter of life or death. If the tribe rejected you, you'd be alone against predators, hunger, and cold. Social exclusion was the equivalent of a death sentence. The result? The brain developed an ultra-sensitive alert system to detect any sign of rejection. Fast forward thousands of years, and today, no one is going to exile you from the city for saying something dumb in a meeting. But your brain doesn't know that. It reacts as if your survival were on the line. That's why your heart races when you have to give a presentation, why you think 1,000 times before posting something on Instagram, and why a simple no can feel catastrophic. Here's the paradox. You live in a hyper-connected world with millions of people, yet your brain still operates as if you were in a group of 50 hunter-gatherers. The need for acceptance hasn't decreased, it just got louder. That's why likes, followers, and comments almost feel like psychological survival currency. And what if I told you that this same tribal instinct also explains why you sometimes follow the herd, even when you know it's not the best decision?
That's the herd effect. And guess what? It also comes straight from the cave. The herd effect. Why we follow the crowd even when it could go wrong. Picture this. You're at a packed concert, someone starts running in panic, and suddenly everyone is running too, including you, even though you have no idea what's going on. It seems irrational, but that's your brain in cave mode. Back in the day, when we lived in small tribes, paying attention to the group's behavior was a shortcut for survival. If everyone started fleeing in a certain direction, the most likely explanation was, there's a predator coming. Questioning the situation or investigating meant a higher chance of becoming the lion's lunch. So, going with the flow was the safest choice. Fast forward to today. That same instinct is still active, but now it's applied to much less deadly things. Black Friday sales, TikTok trends, trendy investments, miracle diets. Your brain still interprets collective action as a safety signal. If everyone's doing it, it must be right. It whispers in the back of your mind. The problem is, this instinct wasn't designed for a world of billions, manipulative advertising, and algorithms pushing trends. The result? You might end up buying things you don't need, falling into opinion bubbles, or making bad decisions just to avoid feeling like the weirdo of the tribe. The curious part, even when you know you're heading in the wrong direction, the comfort of being with the group outweighs logic. In the end, the brain prefers to be wrong together rather than risk being the lone outcast. But hang on, because this same brain that makes you follow the crowd also explains something else. Why you sometimes explode in anger over small things, as if you had to fight for territory.
The anger instinct. Why you still react like you're defending territory. Have you noticed how easy it is to lose your patience over small things? The car in front takes 2 extra seconds to move at the green light, and suddenly you're honking like you need to scare off a saber-toothed tiger. This over-the-top reaction isn't just bad manners, it's ancient biology. Back in the cave days, defending territory was a matter of life and death. If another group tried to steal your hunting grounds, water, or shelter, reacting quickly and forcefully was essential. There was no police, no laws, no contracts, just muscles, yelling, and rocks. The brain learned to trigger anger as an automatic defense mechanism. And guess what? That system is still active today, only now, instead of defending a campfire in the savannah, you're defending your parking spot, or your Wi-Fi password, or even your yogurt container in the communal fridge. Of course, today, it doesn't make sense to respond with tribal battle intensity to minor annoyances, but your brain doesn't know that. It simply registers that someone invaded your territory and sounds the alarm. Racing heart, tense muscles, and an outburst of words you'll probably regret later. That's why online arguments can escalate into full-blown wars. The brain interprets an offensive comment as an intruder invading your cave. Only now, instead of throwing a rock, you unleash a text in all caps. And if even anger has prehistoric roots, just wait until you find out why you keep procrastinating even when you know it's going to screw you over. The answer's in the next section.
Procrastination, the caveman logic of putting everything off. Have you ever stared at that pile of tasks and thought, better leave it for later? After all, tomorrow is another day. Well, it's not just laziness or lack of focus. It's prehistoric survival instinct at work in your brain. Back in the cave days, wasting energy on unnecessary activities could cost you your life. If you'd already hunted enough or gathered food for the day, there was no point in going after more. The brain learned to prioritize effort only when it really mattered. Wasting energy was a dangerous mistake. Today, the environment has completely changed, but the brain is still running the same program. It interprets an important task as something that requires vital energy. And since there's no literal predator threatening your life, it concludes,
better postpone and save your strength. The result? You procrastinate on work, decisions, calls, and even simple chores, always with that mix of guilt and temporary relief. And the most amusing or tragic part is that even knowing rationally that delaying will hurt you, the primitive logic still wins. It's like having a crazy project manager inside your head who believes every deadline is just another imaginary mammoth not worth chasing. And if you think procrastination only messes with your work, think again. This same ancient brain also explains why you keep hoarding useless stuff and can't let go of things that might come in handy later. We'll uncover that in the next topic.
Hoarding and collecting. Why saving stuff makes sense to your caveman brain. Have you ever found yourself hoarding things for no real reason? A box full of old papers, trinkets you'll never use, expired coupons, or even that pile of clothes you swear you'll wear someday? Congratulations, you're acting exactly like your Stone Age brain. Back in the cave days, stockpiling resources was a matter of survival. Every bit of food, stone, or useful object you saved could mean the difference between life and starvation. Throwing away something valuable could be costly, and the brain learned to respond enthusiastically to any opportunity to accumulate. That's why you feel a pang of anxiety when parting with things that seem useless. It's still thinking, what if I need this to survive someday? The result is that closet full of junk you swear you'll organize one day. Or the downloads folder with 5,000 files you've never opened. All instinctively driven by the same ancient program that once protected your survival on the savannah. And if you think hoarding is the only irrational behavior, get ready for the cherry on top. Even your love life, dating choices, and relationships are ruled by the same caveman brain. And that's where things get even funnier, or more tragic.
Relationships. Why your brain still acts like you're in the African savannah. Have you ever wondered why, even with all the dating apps, expert advice, and relationship books, you still make the same romantic mistakes over and over? It's not just your heart's fault, it's your caveman brain still living inside you. In prehistoric times, choosing the right partner was a matter of survival. Physical strength, hunting skills, ability to protect the family, and even genetic health were assessed with almost brutal precision. A wrong choice could mean fewer chances of survival and passing on your genes. That's why the brain developed highly sensitive, instinctive, and sometimes absurd criteria to ensure the safest choice possible. Today, the world has changed. We no longer need to hunt mammoths or build stone shelters, but the brain still operates as if we were on the savannah. It exaggerates minimal signals of status, appearance, social behavior, and even tiny compatibility cues, as if every decision were literally a matter of life or death. The result? We still react with intense anxiety, irrational jealousy, or that fear of rejection that makes us hesitate before taking the next step, even when we know rationally there are no tigers ready to attack. And dating apps just amplify this. Every match or swipe becomes a mini-game of psychological survival, full of tension and anticipation. Deep down, every modern romance is still guided by prehistoric instincts. And with each date, each unanswered message, each ignored scene, you're repeating the patterns that kept your ancestors alive. Except now, instead of hunting mammoths, you're just trying to not be ghosted by your crush. So, let's recap. You're not lazy, greedy, anxious, jealous, or procrastinator because of weak willpower. No, you're simply following a 10,000-year-old instruction manual designed to survive a world full of mammoths, saber-toothed tigers, and rival tribes. Your brain still thinks you need to hunt, hoard resources, defend your territory, and pick partners with deadly precision. Except now, instead of chasing mammoths, you're running after deadlines, likes, and the last slice of pizza. And that's why modern life can feel exhausting, frustrating, and utterly confusing. Because in reality, your brain is still trying to save you from dangers that no longer exist. So, the next time you catch yourself eating chocolate at 2 a.m., procrastinating, or freaking out over an Instagram like, just smile and thank your ancestors. They did a pretty good job keeping you alive, albeit at the cost of some sleepless nights clutching cold pizza. Here's the final challenge. If you want to keep uncovering how your caveman brain still runs your daily life, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and leave a like. Because the more you learn about your prehistoric mind, the better your chances of surviving this modern world, or at least laughing at your own ridiculous decisions. Remember, humanity survived for thousands of years with almost evolved brains. You can too, but with a healthy dose of sarcasm and a lot of biting humor, of course.